Hi, everybody. Welcome. If you've never been here before, my name's Camille, and I am a professional tarot reader. And on this channel, we talk about tarot things. And so, welcome. If you've been here before and you keep coming back, thank you so much. It is deeply appreciated. So, tonight's video is going to be number one in a series of videos. So you'll find part 0, and I've labeled it part 0 for a reason. When you watch it, you'll understand. But it's in a series of videos where we're exploring getting out of our comfort zone, embracing change. What does that look like? What does that mean? Why is it important? And some ways that we can do that. Um, I am a Capricorn. Change, not my favorite thing, not a fan. But I am doing this series of videos for myself to embrace and actively participate and take steps toward the whole concept and explore the concept, but also take action with regard to getting out of my comfort zone and embracing change. So this is video number 1 because it's going to be the first of the next total of 4 videos in the series, where we're going to start with the aces. Because aces are 1 in the tarot. Aces are that raw potential of the energy of each suit and its corresponding element. And of the 4 aces, I decided that the first one that we would be working with was going to be the Ace of Swords. And I did for a very specific reason. And it's because, and even as I go into explaining it, it's already key words that are associated with the suit of swords and the element of air. It is because I think, I believe that if everything starts in your mind, if you can change your mind, if you can approach things with new mental clarity, with um, the ability to say, maybe there's more information that I don't know, or I can expand on what I know. That's the linchpin. That's the thing that can either make or break. So changing our mindset, our mental viewpoint on things. And in order to do that, that means perhaps getting some new knowledge, new information, but just being open to it. So you're going to see me look down a couple of times, probably several, at my iPad where I've got notes on tonight's topic. And I have several decks that where I've pulled out the aces out of several different decks, and the links to get them will be down below if they are available. Some of them, depending upon when you watch this video, some of the decks are going out of print as of June 30th, 2026. So if something is available, link's going to be down below. So Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is, like I said, associated with the element air. And I've also, as you can see over here, I've been working with the colored light bulbs, and oh my God, it has been it's been so therapeutic to have different light, the color of different light in my bedroom, and just noticing how it makes me feel. And so tonight I've specifically chosen yellow because if you're working from the perspective of traditional Celtic witchcraft and how you would call in a circle, the element of air is traditionally the suit or the element that you call in first when you're casting a circle and calling in the 4 elements. And yellow is traditionally the color that is associated with it. And just that in and of itself for me is definitely embracing change and getting out of my comfort zone. I genuinely dislike the color yellow. But as I'm making this video and talking about this topic, I felt it was important for me to have the yellow light here that you guys can see a little bit. You can see, but for me to have the energy of the color yellow cast on me while I am talking about this, the energy of the color, and also subconsciously because I know what yellow means, and also why I took notes in a gold yellow color. So, like we said, aces are the raw seed, the raw potential of each suit. Ace of Swords is new mindset, new mentality, new ideas, or the renewal of a mindset or a thought. So, traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. This is the Weiser. What's this called? Yes, the Weiser Tarot. Weiser. Now, they chose to go with purple in the colors for the suit of air in this deck, but which, fine, whatever. But it's the very traditional gold standard, so to say, of the Rider-Waite-Smith, because here it is, Rider-Waite-Smith deck of the hand of the divine handing from out of the ether the suit in its raw power, that sword, that blade. So it's an opportunity that the universe is giving, that divinity is providing for new ideas, new information, a new perspective, new truths to be explored, and cutting through the fog or the confusion. The next deck we're going to look at, Ace of Axes, and in Stacey William Ung's gorgeous Rhythm and Soul deck, axes are the suit of swords because slang word or for guitars is axes. And so, as opposed to the traditional sword being handed out from the divine, it is this guitar, this Fender Stratocaster. And interestingly enough, she does have it in yellow. Whether that was a definitive conscious choice or not, I'm not sure. Knowing Stacey, I wouldn't be surprised if it was not, but I don't know that for a fact. So, a sword it's a tool, it's a weapon. It is something that needs to be used with caution because it can be used for protection. It can be used for, sorry guys, brain fog, long COVID brain fog. We're working on it. It can be used to defend. But it's something that needs to be used with caution because whether you are inflicting it or putting it out to someone or just handling it yourself, it is sharp, it is pointy, it can sever, it can lead to bloodshed. So the literal tool itself. But when we think about metaphorically what the swords mean, that can be applied to the way we speak. A silver-tongued devil, sharp tongue, someone's words that are cutting. So our mindset, are we being too sharp, too rigid in terms of the way we think, overly analytical? So I'm going to go on to our next deck, which is, let's go with the Mythos Tarot. I love this deck. So in this deck is all based on Greek mythology. And forgive me, guys, I see the lighting going out. It is what it is. And this is Uranus or Uranos in Greek. And Uranos is the being, the entity that is the primordial energy, the personification of the sky, of air. And in Greek mythology. It was created, he was created, it came about after Gaia, after Earth. But it's the air that surrounds Gaia. And you can see the sickle that he has of the night sky and the wind as he's holding his dagger. So that primordial energy that is air. So you might even want to, if you're working with this deck, look up the myths and the stories of Oranos. He is definitely sharp and cutting, and he was also on the receiving end of very sharp cutting sickle that yes, he was on the business end of. So the next deck is Tarot of Vampires. I love this deck so much. And they have the daggers, or knives as they're called, the suit of swords. And each one of the swords, the aces, I'm sorry, in this deck has roses, rose bush and thorns and blossoms of the corresponding color to the element and the representation of the element itself. So we have this beautiful dagger and the yellow roses, because again, yellow being the color of traditional witchcraft of the suit of air. Now, the next two decks are from Chanel Days. And again, these are the two decks that I'm really, when I'm saying if this is available by the time you see this video, maybe, may not be, it's because of the next two cards from two different decks that I'm going to show. These decks will only be available until June 30th of 2026. So I am making it a point to, in every video until then, show them, to feature them, so that if anyone wants, so that everyone's aware and has an opportunity to get these decks while you can, if you would like. So in her Deathly Flowers deck, she uses, just go with it. This is her system. This is her way of doing things. There are cups and chalices that are represented for every ace. Different ones, different style of chalice, different objects, but just go with it. Cups for her, and this particular deck are the chalices, but the representation here of the moth or the butterfly, which is, it's something that flies, so the representation of air. And she does have this word here. It's in Greek, and I'm not even going to try to butcher it. And forgive me, I don't recall what it means, but it's, if you look that up and if you work with this deck, it definitely corresponds with the suit of swords and air. Oh, forgive me, you guys. I thought I pulled out the card from her other deck, and I'm realizing I pulled out the king instead of the ace. I'm going to see if I can very quickly find it, and then if not, we will move on so that this video is not exceptionally long, because, you know, I'm a gabber, I'm yappy. So the point of why I am, get it, point, terrible pun, why I am featuring these decks is for the aforementioned reason, but also to show people that who might be new to tarot, sometimes some decks are not necessarily made for someone who is not experienced with tarot, or conversely, maybe it is, but more intention and study might be required. So here's her Ace of Swords. Again, the chalice with the aces. It's her thing. It's her jam. I ain't judging. But we just have the hilt. And I like this because the whole concept of the potential. What else is exists? What else is possible? We don't know yet until we grasp that pull it out and then use it. Last deck. Oh, I went through them all. Okay. I went through all the cards. I didn't realize I'd gone through all the decks. Forgive me, guys. I'm tired and it's probably obvious, but we're going with this and we're putting it out there because I really want to get this video up for the people who have been waiting for the continuation of this series. And again, because I know Chanel's decks are not going to be available much longer. So I want to go over some questions that you may want to ponder, maybe some self-reflection, maybe journaling would be really good. And I always encourage people, if you are working with tarot, journal. It's so important, I feel, in my experience. And that actually, what I'm about to say really corresponds with the Ace of Swords. Studies have shown, neurologists have been able to determine that if you're trying to remember something, if you are a student and trying to learn new information and make it stick, reading, yes, great. Writing and not typing, the brain is able to remember and retain information much better when you actually write, because writing activates both hemispheres of the brain, because the creative part of the brain, because that's why everyone's handwriting is unique to them. Some people may have very similar handwriting, but each of us has a very unique, specific handwriting. That's why they can do handwriting analysis to determine who really wrote something or was it forged. Which, when you even think about that, brings in the element of the element of swords in this air, because is it the truth, or is it forgery? Is it a lie, a misrepresentation of truth? But writing activates both the mechanical side of the brain as well as the creative aspect, the creative side of the actual human brain. So, number one, is there a particular way of thinking or mindset that it's time to explore with a new perspective? Actually, you know what? I might read these twice in case anybody's taking notes. Is there a particular way of thinking or a mindset that it's time to explore from a new perspective? Number two, is there a difference between truth and fact? What do you think? And if so, what is that? Is there a difference? Do you see a difference between the words truth and the word fact? And if so, explore that. What is the difference? How are they similar, but how are they very separate? Question three, is there new information that could be sought out to find new solutions to old problems? Is there new information that could be sought out to find new solutions to old problems? Number four, a blade has two sides. What old narratives need to be dissected in order to differentiate fact from story? That is a whole deep dive in and of itself, the very, very expressed version. Think of a situation that you might be experiencing that is heavy on your heart or troubling, or a difference of opinion that you and someone has. Journal, maybe speak out loud to a recorder and tell it from your perspective. How do you see things? How did the situation affect you? What's your opinion? about how things could have been handled. What did you say? What did they say? Go through all of that. Then revisit that from the mindset of, but what are the facts? What are the facts of this situation as opposed to what is my opinion about the situation? Where am I making assumptions, perhaps? That will bake your noodle. And the next thing, let's see. What is your communication style? Do you think being more direct and to the point could serve you well? Or is your tongue a bit sharp and your words too cutting? What is your communication style? Do you think being more direct and to the point could serve you well? Or is your tongue a bit too sharp and your words too cutting? Number 6, what subjects or activities have you been curious about? Can you take one, just even one small step to learning more about it? What subjects or activities or things have you been curious about learning more about? And can you just take one, even a small step to learning more about that? Number 7, what does critical thinking skills mean to you? What does it mean to you? What does that look like to you? What do critical thinking skills mean to you? What does that look like? Number 8, how do you handle being wrong? Can you be honest when you are? And how do you shift your mind and your communication based on that? How do you handle being wrong about something? Can you be honest when you are? And how can you reassess mentally? And how do you communicate based on that new information? So, the next thing are actions that I suggest you take. The first one is actively working with the element of air itself. Go outside particularly on a windy or a breezy day, and how does it make you feel? How does it feel on your skin? How does it feel with the wind blowing through your hair? Watch for how the wind, as you watch it blowing, how does it affect objects around it? How it blows the grass or the flowers or the branches and leaves on a tree. Somebody might have a flag, decorative flag in front of their house. Um, how it blows and makes it feel when it blows on your clothing. Just observe that. Try to not put any judgment if it's good, bad, right, or wrong. Just make observations about it. When you're working with the elements, I find it so important to just down to very, very basic interaction and observation of that element in its natural state. Number 2, do breath work. Pause to breathe with intention. Maybe go on YouTube and look up different, there's so many different ways for breath work to be done. Uh, Look up on YouTube some different guided ways of someone guiding you through how to work with the breath. How does the air feel when it enters your nostrils, when you expel it from your lungs or out of your mouth or out of your nostrils? Bonus points if you do this outside, particularly on a windy day. Number 3, is there a difficult conversation that you know you need to have? Perhaps take notes, make bullet points, maybe even speak again. There's an app called Parrot, and it's a great app for just recording audio, recording your voice, and then being able to play back. But getting it out of your head in preparation for a conversation that you know you need to have but have not had because it's going to be challenging or difficult or painful. And do this so that your words, whether they're spoken or it's an email or a text that you send, um, so that your words are clear and direct and to the point. And how sharp does your delivery need to be? Does it need to be? Can you still be honest and direct without being harsh or cutting? Or is this a situation where being harsh and cutting is appropriate? Can you have this conversation verbally? In our modern age, it's so much easier to send an email or a text. It's just life in 2026. Um, could you push your limits again with the whole theme of this whole series, getting out of your comfort zone, to actually interact and verbally have a conversation with someone that might be challenging? Number 4, purchase some wind chimes. Bless them and or enchant them so that when they blow, it's that energy that hearing them reminds you of all the work, because this is hard work. This whole series is shadow work. So that when you hear the wind chimes, maybe they bring you a sense of comfort. Maybe they remind you of all of the work and exploration that you're doing with regard to the element of air. And some songs to explore. I Want to Know What You're Thinking. 10Xers, you know that song. By Information Society. It's literally the lyrics. I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind. There's some things you can't hide. Um, Testify by Rage Against the Machine. I might argue anything by Rage, but Testify and Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. They Don't Really Care About Us by Michael Jackson. Just the whole mentality and mindset and opinions that people, the world, the collective has about the man himself, Michael Jackson, in light of new, very, very painful, very harsh, cutting information that has come out in the past couple of months, and certain documents, because the Ace of Swords, I often find when I read, is documents, it's facts, it's information, it's having receipts, so that it can be proven, the evidence of fact. And certain documents where a lot of people's names, it's fact, they are in those documents, but where Michael Jackson is not mentioned even one time, and how that has reframed the world at large's mindset and opinions and harsh judgments and critical words that were thought, said about, printed in magazines and tabloids, the legal investigation that happened with Michael Jackson, and now how a very different mindset that people may have had about him, how that's changed with new empirical evidence that's been brought out. And the last one, Communicate by the B-52s. So, in closing, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Let me know what you think down below. How's this going for you? How's this working? I'm definitely doing the work with you guys, and some things that I'm going to be doing specifically with regard to the element of air, some really cool, fun conversations that I'm going to be having with my awesome friend Morgan, the French Quarter Nun, and some new information, new things, new skills that she's going to be teaching me, and us talking and bouncing new ideas off of each other. And a conversation with my friend Scott, who is another tour guide like Morgan and myself, ghost tour guide in the French Quarter, and some renewing old ideas and an old project that Scott and I did during quarantine, and renewing that, and taking notes on that information, and some talks that are going to be coming up that'll give me new information as far as a particular individual that sometimes I talk about on a ghost tour, an extremely fascinating woman, the Baroness Michaela Almonaster de Pontalba. And there's going to be a talk and a book signing that I'm hoping that I will get to go to. Yeah, and some new hobby that I've been wanting to pick up forever that I'm probably going to start this week. So I'm doing the work with you guys. I'm journaling, and I'm going to have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody. And it's going to have to be a text because there is a language barrier so that Google Translate can work its magic. But I'm going to have a challenging and unpleasant conversation with someone, and be very, very honest and very clear and very direct. And that's making me reflect on the mental growth and maturity, and the emotional maturity that I have come into, because I'm traditionally not good with challenging conversations, but realizing now that does not do anyone any good, and to have a very direct conversation. So I'm doing the work with you guys. I hope you guys are doing the work, and, as it feels right for you, because, with any kind of shadow work, it's shadow. It is not easy. It's challenging. So go at your own pace, do what you're comfortable with, take notes, then you can come back and revisit the videos and maybe do additional work later on. So if you made it to the end, thank you. And if you did, leave me a yellow heart. Leave me a yellow heart. So until the next video, stay safe, stay sane, and I will catch you in the next one.